have given a big reward.
It was just like we were like cheering. We were like, yay! And then now he was a student.
He's a good student. Well, congratulations. That's good news. Right, 2 claps. And anybody else? I have good news, and I'll follow with that because I have 2 things. Can I do that? 2 things. Finish my progress reports. Woohoo! I was here all day on Saturday doing that, so that was a big deal. And but the best news is I get to go over spring break to go see my grandchild, grandbaby, my grandson. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I can't get through this week test, but then I'm going to go to North Carolina and visit them. So I'm looking forward to that. So.
How old is baby?
He's going to be, let's see, he was 2 weeks last Thursday, so this Thursday will be 3 months.
Oh, what's his name?
His name is Kate. Katin. Very cute. I think he's pretty cute. I'm sure most of you, I had to show the video. And sorry about that. All right, anyway, thank you. And
Claps.
all right.
All right, before you turn it over to Shelley, I want to officially welcome Amanda Kulik. I don't know if you've been here since we had a staff meeting. So Amanda's down C Hall. Already feels like you're a regular around here. So welcome to Amanda, Social Studies, 7th grade. Julie Cosmano teaches about 17 things, right? So Julie, both of you came in and jumped right in, and we're thrilled to have you here. And I hope, anyway, I know that you've been surrounded with support because that's who these people are here. So welcome to both of you, and please feel free. And Karen Nollett, I don't know if Karen knew we had a meeting today, but Karen is English in 7th grade. So a few changes and lots of support. You're already doing that for them. So, all right, I'm going to turn it over to Shelley.
I'm last. Oh, you're last? Oh. Sure, yes.
Okay. All right, I'll try to get through this as fast as we can, but there's still a lot of things that's different this year. There's a lot of unknowns this year, so hopefully I can answer some questions if you have them. If you come up with something later, just let me know, okay? You should have, I made a little packet for you of our schedule. The first 2 weeks, we have to have the writing finished by, I think it was May 6th. So this is the schedule we are following the first 2 weeks. It is, 100 minutes. So pause time is after first period. Then, after the 2 weeks of writing, we have the ELA and we have the math. So we added a few extra minutes because we were concerned the students aren't going to have enough time for it. So it's just a little bit of extra time. It's 120 minutes. So the classes are going to be shorter. They're 61 minutes instead of 66 minutes long. So that's just your difference. Somebody, I think was it you, Heather, or somebody came and said, I think it was you, that said it averages out when you're doing your teaching, when you're doing your testing, you'll have extra time to make up during this period, correct?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. All right, this is on your sheet. It's really hard to see up here, but this is your testing schedule. I made a list. On here you have your dates. I put down your number of students you had about last week or the week before. If it says extra, that's because you might have a couple kids that won't be testing in your room because there's not enough computers. So we will be using the library, or if you're in, let's say, Miss Love's class and Mrs. Harris's class has an extra computer, we'll put them in there. So they'll be testing with your team teacher. So that's what that extra means. Okay, over here it tells you where you are going to be teaching. It's either the B Hall lab, the D Hall lab, or Miss Love, or Mrs. Love, or Mrs. Harris's classroom. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, and if you, as you can see, there's 4 teachers testing every day, starting the second day we get back from spring break. Okay, this is our testing release schedule. I also included that. What this is, it's just If we need you, first period, you're staying with your class. During pause, we have proctors already. Mr. Larson, Mrs. Elwell, Mrs. Love, and Mrs. Harris are going to be the proctors. They will take over your class, and anybody that needs to finish during pause will stay where they're at and finish with them. Then if it comes into second period play, we need some help. We're going to need proctors. We're going to be pulling people, and it will be and this is all new, so it's going to be a day-by-day basis, and I will let you know if we need you. But so second period, it would be Bitterman for 30 minutes, and then Blake for 30 minutes. Then it will be Mrs. Bitterman for 30 minutes and Mrs. Waldo for 30 minutes. Our goal is to have everybody in the D Hall lab, so everybody can finish down there first. You know, hopefully we get everybody down there so we don't need all of you to take up your prep time. You know, is that making sense to you? Do you have a question about that? Seeing blank faces. Do you understand that? Okay. Okay, here are your responsibilities, just like it was kind of with AzMerit. Some of you are new. You're already participating in this workshop. You're signing your security agreement. If you could sign it today, please, and give it to Teresa, appreciate it. You will have your documents you need to look at for the testing date. The documents are not hard copies this time, they are online. So I'll talk about that later when we get towards the end. You need to review them, you need to follow security agreements, follow the directions. If you have any questions at all during testing or before we start testing, please let me know. And then all of you already finished the certification. Okay, test materials that will be provided for you. We will have scratch paper in each computer room. There will be a box for used scratch paper. At the end of testing, you're going to pick that up. If you still have students testing, just leave it in there and I'll get it somehow or another during the day. Every day we have to shred it. So we have to make sure we get the paper out of there and get it shredded. So they're only allowed to use the scratch paper for math and writing. They cannot use it for ELA. We will have pencils in there. So the pencils stay in the class or in the labs, please. We'll sharpen them. We'll, switch them out as needed. Calculators, thank God, are not needed this year. That was a pain last year. They are embedded in the computer, in the test. Just like before, the test security is a big thing. You cannot copy anything, cannot look at any part or duplicate any part of the test. You cannot tell the students what's in it. All this stuff I'm going over right now is also in your test directions. Excuse me. You cannot discuss the merit testing. You cannot provide any reference sheets. Any reference sheets will be on the computer for math. You cannot share information. Can you guys see? Cannot share information. Cannot read any part. The only part you can read are the teacher directions. And basically that's going to be right in the beginning, because with computer tests there are earphones. We have brand new earphones and they tell them what to do. You cannot influence the students in any way by pointing to anything. You cannot tell them to go back and redo. At the end of the computer testing, it's pretty cool because it tells them, how many of you have seen the sample test? Good. At the end of it, it tells them what test to go back and review. They can even flag a question if they don't want to answer it right away, and they can go back later, and it tells them to go back and review that question. So it's kind of nice for them. You cannot review it or read their scratch paper, any of that. You have to report any violations to me. If you know somebody that helped a student or let them use their cell phones or whatever, please report it to me. You cannot assist them in answering any questions. You cannot translate or reword or help them in any way except for giving them directions. That's a big one. Just remember that. Just follow what's in the guidelines, what it says in the teacher directions. Okay, you should have taken that one out, sorry. Oh, wrong way. Okay, cell phones are not allowed or any other electronic devices. Your best bet is when you go to the labs, just tell your students to leave them in their backpacks. You don't want to be interrupted with phones going off or even if it's on mute, whatever. They cannot use any reference materials. dictionaries and thesauruses are already embedded in the test. So if somebody does use a cell phone, please report that to me, because that is a violation. They get to continue testing. We have to take the cell phone. They get written up for it, but it is a violation. We have
Did
to
you guys
report
have
it.
to turn them in the past?
Last year I did.
We
did.
should do that.
We just collected them at the start of the class. Yeah, give them back to me.
Yeah, we used to, Linda, I know we did in here, Linda and I would put little sticky notes on every cell phone so we knew who it belonged to, put them in a drawer. So if you guys want to do that,
Do you want us to?
I think that's
Yeah,
the
let's
best
say
bet
let's
to do.
do that, so
If
we'll
they
just
don't.
make sure the sticky note,
Little sticky notes.
maybe a box. There'd be a box or something to put them in.
Should we put them in boxes or do you think in drawers? I know we put them in a drawer here so nobody could get them.
What's gonna be in the labs though?
Oh, that's right. Okay, we can give you a
Do like
lid.
a copy room box?
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get you a
Copy
lid.
paper.
So,
Okay.
so that's gonna be our agreed upon procedure is cell phones are turned in, they just know, look, you're not in trouble, make sure it's off, name
Yeah.
on it.
And make sure it's off.
Do we need to
Definitely.
bring like Post-its or will you guys have?
We'll
them
have
in
them.
the lab?
We'll have them. Once you guys worry about as little as possible when you're down there, what you need to bring. Okay, to prepare, you need a copy of the test directions. You need to read it before your test day, please. There's a lot you need to go through. There is also the user guide, and I will show you that in a little bit. You do need the user guide. It tells you step by step on how to use the computer. You already have your password. You already did your certification. Again, we have new headphones. Everything should be in working order. We had Susan checked all the computers, so they should be working. AzMerit's already in the on all the computers, even here in the library. The icon. Before, this is when your day of testing comes. If you could, it'd be really good if you could switch, if you have morning duty, switch your duties with somebody. So you can get in the lab first thing, and you can get all the computers on, and you can have that icon showing, and your computer's going, and you're ready to go. Because you have to make sure all programs are closed, or they will not be able to sign in. So all programs have to be closed, and then they will just click on the AzMerit browser. It's right there. It's a little icon. It's already on all the computers. We will have everything hooked up, the new headphones, and then there will be a sign-in sheet is the first thing the students are going to see, and you will have their numbers. When you did your certification, you saw the numbers. You'll have to put on the board for them to type in. Okay, we're going to ask you to write down who is on what computer. We're going to have the computers numbered. If you could please write down what students on each computer in case we have a problem with any broken parts or somebody messing around with the computer, please. Okay, and then you're going to hand out your testing tickets to get started, and that's what your testing tickets will look like. I will have these ready for you also. Any questions about getting started?
Will the headphone in and out be on the,
They'll be on the computers.
put on the paper where they say Joey Smith is at computer 1? Can we put a headphone in, headphone out, headphone in? Just to make sure every teacher, make sure everyone.
That the
back?
headphones are still there? We're just going to leave them plugged in? So you want that on there? Okay. It'll just be a sheet I'm going to give to each of you when you come in, okay? So just check it that everything was turned off and the headphones are plugged in. Nothing's destroyed. Okay, during the testing, follow the directions, and please only read what it said when it says say. That's the only thing you're allowed to read. And don't forget, we're doing the computer base. It's a lot easier this year. There's less for you to read. Okay, breaks. Only one student at a time may use the restroom. You cannot do group now this is kind of, when I was reading the directions, it said if you're giving a ELA test, then the math test, you need to take a break. But here, it's saying you cannot give the whole class a break. So it would be up to you. I would only let maybe one student go get a drink at a time and let them come back and start the math test when they're finished with the ELA. But you cannot give the whole class a break at the same time. Okay, even though it says it in the teacher directions, when this is the coordinator's directions, and it said no. So I'm going to go by this. Plus, it's not as noisy either. You know, we've had that problems before. So only one person at a time may go up to go to the restroom and get a drink of water. But they do need a break. If they're doing the ELA, they're finished, have them go take a walk, get a drink of water, and come back and start the math test. Any questions about that part?
Would we tell them that ahead of time? Like, when you're done, let me know?
Yes.
And then you're going to be dismissed one by one to go?
Okay, if a student leaves the room, and this is the most important part about the computer test, if they leave the room to go to the restroom, they cannot leave longer than 20 minutes. And hopefully they're not gone for 20 minutes for the restroom, but we know some of those students. But if they leave like to go to the nurse or something, try to get them back as soon as possible, or try to have them finish the test, because after 20 minutes, they cannot go back and check their test. So 20 minutes is the limit. You know, they can continue their test, and you're going to have to put them back on, but they cannot go back and check their answers. So make sure they know that if they go to the restroom or if they go to the nurse. If they do go to the nurse and they can't finish the test, tell them that's it for the test, just like the AzMerit test last year and the AIMS test. Once they start the test, they log in and they start it, they have to finish it. If they're gone longer than 90 minutes, the test is submitted automatically. So you have to tell them to try to make it. Now, if they get sick, let's say they do the ELA test, they get sick and they don't want to start the math test, as long as they don't start it, they can take the math test on the makeup day, just like the AIMS.
Okay, so our 20-minute windows, is that with every single test? Because I asked this because some of my kids are really slow readers, and I noticed in the writing prompt there were 16 paragraphs they had to read first before they even got to the writing prompt. And to tell you the truth, I don't think that some of my kids are going to be able to read those 16 paragraphs in 20 minutes. So their computer's going to be sitting there with no activity.
Maybe if you could have them highlight, because there's a highlighter, that tool they could use, or underline. There's all kinds of tools they could use to show that they're busy.
All right.
So maybe that would help.
It's just that 20 minutes of inactivity.
Well, I think it's only if you push pause that it actually pauses. You push the pause button.
Well, if it shows inactive for 20 minutes, it'll stop. Yeah,
It
it'll pause
will,
on
even
that.
if they didn't
Just
pause,
Yeah.
they can check out.
Yeah,
That's a good, yeah.
because you did it before, so the
Yeah,
pause.
but I wasn't inactive for 20 minutes, so.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
you're right.
The length of time.
But I would definitely do the highlighting.
yeah,
message.
just to show that they're busy too, that they're active on it.
They also have the thing where they, I forgot what it's called, but where they can highlight each line as they're reading.
Right.
At the
Oh,
top.
yeah.
It highlights it as you're reading it, you know, as you click on each line.
Have you gone in the lab yet,
Yes.
used it?
Yeah,
So
and that's
you
why
show
I'm
them.
saying, they saw the 16 paragraphs and
Yeah.
they just went,
Yeah, it's going to be tough for some of
yeah,
them,
they were
unfortunately.
overwhelmed.
So
Okay.
if a student gets so sick to where they have to leave and they throw up and they have to leave, they're throwing up and they have to leave school, and so they're done. If they only did 5 questions, then it's going to score that as is, and it's only going to score the 5, and then the rest are going to be wrong. And that'll, even for honors students, that follows them.
Yeah, that's why we always try to tell the students, if you're not feeling good, you know, you can tell your kids when they first walk in, say, don't even get started, just go to the nurse. Because they can always come back later. If they go to the nurse and say, hey, I think I can do it, then they can come and start. You know, because they can start late. I just don't want to get started.
Okay.
Okay? When they are finished, they must submit their test. It's not a pause. If they forget and they just pause it, that's okay, because automatically it submits it after 90 minutes. So go ahead, but just tell them to submit when they're finished testing. Make sure they hit that. Disruptive students. If you have somebody that's being disruptive, if they're finished and they're causing a problem, call down to Sue, Laura. I don't think Amber will be back yet. So whoever, just call the office and somebody will come and get them out of the room. All right, if they're still testing and they're being disruptive, just go ahead and call us and we will put them in the library to finish testing. But they will you will have to write a referral on them. You know, and then we do call home, you need to call home and everything, but we need to know. If you think somebody's cheating, let me know right away, please. Okay, we'll pull that student out. It is kind of difficult. I know down in the lab downstairs, they're all right in front of each other, so I don't know how that's going to work out. If it seems, just be careful if you're going to say you're cheating. Okay, that's all I got to say. Don't accuse them of it if you're not positive that they're doing it. Basically, this is what you're going to do. You're going to select the test like you saw in that little video, and then you're going to start the test session. You'll be writing out the number on the board. You hand out the tickets. You should try to do the test, selecting the test and starting the session before the students even enter the room. That saves you time, and it keeps the kids on task, because the minute they get in, you can get them started, and then the sooner they'll be finished. Okay, students sign in on the computer and they will request the approval. You saw that on the video. And then you will review the request, you approve them for testing. Then they complete their tests and they submit them. You will just basically be walking around helping students that can't log in. They can't log in, just check their numbers, make sure they got their ID number correct, their SSID number. Make sure they got that correct. Make sure they got the test number correct. Those are the biggest mistakes they make to not logging in. And then you're going to stop the session when everybody's done, and you're going to log out. I have an email into Brad to find out if you still have students testing. I don't think you're going to stop it. I'm not sure. Do you remember, Dawn, on that one?
No.
If they're still testing?
No.
Don't stop it. Yeah, I didn't think so.
I think, most likely, most of us probably won't finish in that time allowed, and it goes into that pause period. That's what I was thinking was going to happen.
Yeah.
Especially for the writing.
Yeah.
Okay, did we get an answer about I'm taking over because
I didn't
Young's
get an
kids are
answer
in my
yet.
class, and so I need his test session login information, right?
I think I will be able to do that. They tell you not to give your login information to anybody else.
But his
So-
testing session is in there.
Right.
If he
The
stays
student
logged in.
can continue testing in another location with their session ID number, but I think I still have a question in to
Does
Brad
the- yeah,
how
does
we're
the
going to be able
proctor
to
stay
see
the
it.
same, or does that
Yeah.
reassign the proctor?
So we still have to check on that one because I haven't gotten a clear answer from that one on him. But I know that they can continue testing though. So it might be the first period teacher that they're testing with. You'll go up to your room and you will have that on your screen still minimized. And then when a student's testing, you might have to make sure they're logged off.
So if we're
I'm
going
not
for
sure.
Chopin, are we logging in as Chopin or are we logging in as ourselves?
I have that question to Brad too. I'm thinking you're going to have to log in as Chopin.
Okay.
Because that's her roster. Okay, those are the questions that I've had too that we need to get answered about if a student continues testing. Okay, I think that was it. Do you have a question, Dave?
No,
Oh,
that's the thing. It actually doesn't matter, like, 'cause we did it last year on computer.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh, that's right.
I would log in, and I would have different classes under my login.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh.
Because I had our lab, we were in a high school lab, we had like 2 labs. So I had 2 different classes in there. And all it is your session ID. They were like, they would just type that in when you put up your number on the board. And it's all.
So the rosters don't
So I
matter?
had, yeah, all the names.
Okay. I hope we can. That'd be great.
And then
We don't have to worry.
if you have to leave, well, we always love to split it because we had a problem last year because there was so many, they didn't have enough bandwidth for the air, like nationally.
Oh.
People couldn't log in. And their thing is just keep trying. So it took some people 2 hours to get in.
Oh my
But
gosh.
if we got one person logged in, we all logged in underneath. So we had several different labs under their ticket and it worked fine.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, it's all new, so we'll see how it works. Okay. The directions. You have 2 sets of directions. We're also going to make a copy to keep in the lab. But you have your administrator directions, that's your user guide, and your regular teacher directions. So make sure that if you don't want to copy these off the website, you would like me to make a copy for you. Teresa has a paper you can sign up, and I will make copies, and I'll put them in your mailbox this week sometime. Okay? But if you If you want to make a copy of them, they are on the website, and I'll show you in a little bit where to get those. Okay. Okay, these are your responsibilities again, just approving them, monitoring the students, pausing and stopping a test, and inform the coordinator. It'll be me or Teresa or Mrs. Mulligan or Mrs. Hanson on how many students need to continue testing. Because if I'm not here, then one of them's going to be taking over. Okay, if they need additional time, like I said before, they're going to stay in the lab they're with. We're going to try to get as many students as possible down in the D lab, so we only have to have one person at a time monitoring. Okay, if they need to continue working on the computer, where they're at, they can continue working until we tell them to move. If they must move, they can continue their test session on another computer, but we have to get them started within that 20-minute period. Okay? If we need to, if it goes over 20 minutes, all we need to do is get them started again with a new session number. And all you do is go back into how they told you to get your sessions number right on the little program that you watched. Okay, at the end of testing, students may read or do classwork. They may not have their cell phones. They may not go on the computer and do anything. So those are the only two things they may do. Anything else you can think of?
So should the computer just be off?
Yes, the computer will be off. And yes.
Just have them turn the screen.
Turn the screen off, and then we'll turn all the computers off. In the D lab, we're going to have the computers stay on.
So the screen will still go off though when the kids are done.
We can tell them all finish. That's the screen. Okay, once the tests are submitted, they cannot return, so make sure if they're not finished, do not hit submit. Verify that the test has been submitted. When you get on your teacher's screen, you saw that also on the little test that you took. Make sure that all students that need to complete tests are paused. If they leave the room, make sure they pause it. Okay, if they're going to go to another room to finish testing, make sure they pause it. They don't submit it, please. Make sure they do that. Okay, then you're going to move them to the room they need to go to, collect the pencils and scratch paper.
So if they leave, their headphone stays.
The headphones stay with that computer. We have enough headphones for all the computers.
So they're going to be then, the teacher will be physically saying, Joey Smith is now off of this computer. I've got his headphones, and then he goes to the new one, checks in there.
Right, and then we'll have to write down he's on such and such computer. Like if he goes over with Clint will write down he's on computer number 10 with headphones. Okay? All right. Yes?
Sort of the same thing. The seating charts for the labs, can those be given to everyone ahead of time? And I would ask that you pay close attention to where you're putting your problem kids, the ones that could potentially be destructive. They absolutely should not be in the first 3 rows of D lab and in the furthest computers away from you in the B hall lab. And in our rooms, they shouldn't be in the outside rows, only those most trustworthy kids where you're not going to be able to see them wiggling or being destructive. That should be a pre-designed, predetermined, you know exactly which terroristic child is in which particular location, because there are certain ones that will see what they can do to mess it up.
And so I'll make seating charts for you guys. Is that going to be helpful then?
Yes.
Everybody want that? Okay. So we'll make seating charts, and that'll be for you. Okay, so you can have it ahead of time. That's kind of nice too, because then right away you can tell them where to go. Okay, again, write your name down over here on this list with Teresa if you want me to make the copies for you. Otherwise, you can go on the website and you can go on the website. Sorry, Lindsay. If you go on the website again, you go into the portal You go into AzMerit. Go into the portal right here. Into your test administrators. And right here. And then you're going to get your guide. This is your teacher's guide. This will give you directions what you say step by step by step. Okay? And then the user guide, which you also need to have, it's this one right here, your test administrator user guide. That tells you everything you need to know for the computers. Everything you need to know how to give the test. They're both very important. So you can go online and you can get those yourself, or let me know if you want me to make a copy of it. Okay? So just be prepared. One thing, Brett suggested that before you go into the testing room, maybe the day or two before, you show a practice test to the whole group on your smart board. And then they can see the visual presentation. You can show them all the little tools and everything on how to do it. All right? You can also explain to them what the tickets are and how important the test code is. Okay, look over the practice test if you haven't done that so already. Read through the directions. Be in the lab early. Any questions? Yes?
So these are sped students going to be testing with us, or are they going to be full?
The accommodations are embedded in the test. So we have probably 3 students at a time that are being pulled. Only a few students, not a lot. So the Mrs. Cartwright and Mrs. Cartwright and Mrs. Mitchell went through their list, and they already have the students. There's a couple of 504s, I think, right, Teresa, that we're going to pull. And if you're really, really, really concerned about a behavior issue, talk to me or talk to Teresa. We'll see what you're concerned about. Yes?
Okay, just to clarify and make sure I'm thinking about this right. So the first 2 weeks after break, so March 28th to April 8th, is going to be the first schedule on the front page. Every day, not just testing days, every day.
Every day, except for early release day. We're not testing.
And then April 11th till when is the other schedule going to be every day? Because I saw that testing ended May 2nd, that's a Monday.
Yeah, testing ends May 6th.
May 6th? And then after May 6th, we'll go back to our regular schedule. Or are we doing
I don't think we
end of the
decided
year?
on that yet because we're doing destination decades still. Heather?
Well, that's just pause time, isn't it?
Yeah, there wasn't a decision that I was involved in.
Yeah, we didn't decide that yet.
It was just either keep it or not, and I didn't have an opinion.
Well, May 6th question.
So then hostages, we're not testing.
That's in our schedule.
You have your regular schedule. And 8th grade teachers,
Because you're gonna lose them 4 times.
and 8th grade teachers, right now, we're going to be able to test the end of the course test for Algebra 1, 2. At the same time, the 8th graders are taking the 8th grade math. I think you're just going to have to load it in. The big problem with that, though, you have to really make sure that when you approve tests, instead of hitting approve all tests with your math tests, you might want to just make sure that they are taking the 1, 2. They're the kids that are going to take 1, 2. And I will give the list to you when you're testing. You guys, we have you towards the end of the year, so those end of the course students are testing towards the end of the year, so they have more information. 8th grade science is still a paper test. We are doing that on the 18th and 19th, and I'm just going to be emailing you all the information. It'll be the same as before, picking it up. They're just going to be testing first period. If they need to finish, they'll finish down here. And then the second day, they'll do part 2. Okay? Any questions about the end of the course testing? Or
That would be all 8th grade teachers for the first period 8th grade class.
especially you, yes. Especially the advanced science classes. Because you have a lot of those kids in there. Okay? Anything else about the science? Okay. Thank you, guys. So let me know. I hear from some of the parapros sometimes, oh, the teachers don't know what's going on. And this, I said, well, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Okay, I'm available. I don't care, if you didn't understand what I said, come see me, because I try to go through it fast. But I don't want you to feel like you don't know what you're doing. I want you to feel comfortable, okay?
The one thing I'll tell you too is that Starline, was the school last year that did it online, and the feedback from Starline was so much easier. So much easier. So any worries obviously it's just different, but so the one thing that we always deal with, Shelley mentioned this, but kids are done, so please have a plan for that. We know they're going to shut, their screen will be off, so you'll know, but please have a plan, talk to them a couple days before, here's your options, so they know going in what they're going to do when they're finished. Teachers, just as a reminder, the expectation is you're up, you're walking around and you're monitoring. Especially like Nisa said, there's pockets in those labs that you can't see. So it's not, I don't want to insult anybody, it's not a time for me to go, awesome, I've got this day, I can work on my lesson plans or whatever. You've got to be up and really engaged. And I am ultra concerned about the headphones. So whatever sheet we have, so if this is Pat Myers, she's on computer 7, I'm going to mark, she's got the headphones when we sit down. You must go to every student when they leave. Jeff, where are your headphones? Well, I didn't have any headphones. Yes, you did. Right here. Where are your headphones?
Not touching those plugs. If they unplug them and plug them back in, you're going to lose plugs and/or the ports and/or the wires are going to get ripped and broken.
Right.
What I say to them all the time is tool, not toy. If they touch it in any way that's not productively taking that test.
If you do not actively manage that, they will disappear. We deal with it every year in the computer lab. So please take those headphones seriously.
What about their own? Are they allowed to bring their own?
I don't know.
We don't want them unplugging and plugging
We
in the
just
other ones.
don't.
We don't.
Right.
So that's
we
the
should
question.
say no.
Yeah, they say, oh, I'll just bring my own. No. They won't. And then make sure that, again, picking up the cell phones.
Are they required to use their headphones if the ones that are provided?
You have to have
They do,
headphones.
yeah, they do an ear check, sound check.
But if they don't
So
want to wear them after that point, can they take them off? Or
I think there's some directions and stuff that are on there, so.
That's a good question. I would really,
I
would just say,
hurt.
oh,
they
all
hurt my
right.
head.
There was this listening party after
Yeah.
this, but I don't know about directions on it like that. I don't
Do
know
you
the
remember,
directions.
Dave?
I just don't know if,
A lot of them don't wear it.
Maybe they could just put them around their
Yeah.
necks or something, or if they,
And they'll take them off, they'll put them there, and then when part comes where
Oh,
it
okay,
tells
yeah, that's
you
true.
you need to listen, then they can put them on. But I know there's some kids that just don't like stuff
Yeah.
on their ears.
how will they know okay.
Because it tells you, listen, it has a little
Like a speaker
little speaker
icon.
thing. Like, oh, I
Okay.
can listen here.
It's going to tell me
but these
that
are brand new,
I'm
they're
here.
cushy.
I just get pinched and get headaches.
Okay. I'm going to say preferences, they just leave them on, less distracting, but if somebody has a problem, you can manage that.
One
There's
question
sensory
about the
thing.
test with the ELLs, when I took them into the computer lab, I could see where if a child needed to have the screen blue and the letters white, they could do that. Is that something that we're having them do themselves, or are we presetting those things for them?
The accommodations, Tessa
Uh-huh.
put all the accommodations in already.
So but I had my kids go on the other day and just to look, because I thought, you know what, I mean, it's available to them, let's let them look at it now,
To make
so
it
that they
larger.
know, so that they won't be messing with it when they're taking the test and screw it up. But then I wasn't sure, is that gonna be available to them, or is that part of the accommodations that has to be preset?
The accommodations,
Or
like for
ELLs
your
or for
ELL and
special?
special eds, they're gonna be in there already.
Yes,
But-
but what about like the color and
I
the
remember,
contrast?
all I can remember seeing were the
Font.
3 drop-down boxes. And one was size
Yeah,
and font. I don't remember if
The
those,
color.
the colors was on the drop-down box or not that the students could do.
so is that something that every student will have available to change?
I don't know, you have to
It
wait.
looked like it was.
But why would,
Yeah, they
it's
do.
just the 3,
And-
right?
And then
Yeah, like
once they
blue
set
background,
it,
yellow
I don't think
letters.
they can go in and out.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted them to know, because I don't want them to start a test and then say,
I
"Oh,
would
don't
not
like
let
this
them do
color."
color unless, I mean, if they
do
have
get
like
to
color
pick.
overlay.
Well,
or
that's what it
something.
looked like anyway, that they get
Yeah.
picks.
So,
Well, I just thought I would ask. Okay, so the accommodations for those that need it are
the
already
accommodations like
preset.
ELL and special ed.
So if I could, what we did with the special ed, Tiffany, you asked about typically we just automatically pull them, but this year what we identified is there's so many of the accommodations or modifications that it's in the test. So there's no
Right.
point in Kelly coming over here when it's her individual test and it's already done for her. What we did was we went through and looked for behavior problems that might be distractible, or ADHD kids, with 504s or OHI IEPs. So those are the kids that we said, they probably should come out. So we tried to be real intentional about who came out. And then we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes, so.
We know ahead of time, like, who you're gonna be pulling.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, we only have like, I think the
Yeah, not
most
very
three, one, maybe six.
And you may have a student that you're thinking is, wow, this kid has to go, but we if there's no 504 or IEP, they are not coming out. But then they may have to be removed if there's a behavior.
Yeah.
Because I know who you're, I know the ones in your class.
I only have two.
No, I know. Yeah.
No, we have kids that
Okay.
aren't on IEPs that are worse than kids on IEPs.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It'll be an adventure.
Just to be clear, so if I'm going into the B Hall lab, my first period on Tuesday, so I'm in the first group. So when the bell rings for pause time, I'm leaving and going back to my
Right.
classroom,
Correct.
and someone else is coming in.
Correct.
Now, all the students that finished before pause time, they're leaving with me.
With you. What day did we start testing? Monday we come back?
Tuesday. And if you guys know in advance, like I know we already made some changes, but this is already set, so I hope you already let us know.
We
if
get
you're
a
not gonna be
Blackboard
here.
parents too.
Yeah, oh yes, and that's the other thing. This week I'll be sending you an invite for your test dates. So you'll know, you'll be on your calendar. All right, and then we're gonna be blackboarding parents of their test dates when your class is testing.
So the blackboards will be customized to your child's class.
Yeah.
We'll begin testing tomorrow, and upcoming test dates are done.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. Is that it?
Time for the lunch? Okay. Well, this is just a little, like, 3-minute video. I like it a lot because I feel like as teachers, sometimes the small things we do will not ever be recognized or felt for maybe years and years and years to come. So, I hope you enjoy it, and once you're done watching, you're launched.
Once in a while, a video comes along that is powerful enough to transcend cultural and language barriers and bring us all a little bit closer together.
Bác
I hope this video inspires you to do something good too. Feel free to subscribe.
If you want me to make a copy, sign up things so I can get them in your mailbox.
You said you're already making a complete set for each lab. You're already making a complete set for each lab.
I have an idea for testing. This is my whole testing computer. I need pens. Okay. I use my markers and I have this and then this
Is this the sign up fee here?
You can get something. No. Okay.
Well, won't you come
I was thinking of our little Logan. Our little Logan. He doesn't have a 504. He doesn't know. I'm thinking of Logan.
I'm good. I got something. I think all the
Teresa, you get this?
Thank you.
Thank you.